Good morning, friends. I hope everyone is doing well. I request everyone to watch my videos in a sequence for better understanding. In this video, I want to discuss about interrupt and various types of interrupts and what is the difference between a subroutine and an interrupt. So that's why I request you to please watch the previous video where I have discussed about subroutine with the help of call and return instructions. Okay, first let me discuss about what is an interrupt. An interrupt is whenever a CPU is executing some instructions or some process it is executing. Then what if a user asks to do something else? Then what will happen? It will create a disturbance, and that disturbance we will call it as an interrupt. Let me take a simple example. When you are eating the food, someone has called you. That may not be an interrupt for you, but for other members it is an interrupt. Am I right or wrong? Because all your family members are eating and you are also eating, and your family members thought that you will all will eat together like that. Now while eating, you will got an important call from the boss, where it can be a boss, can be anything. Okay, suppose let's say that he is an employee, he will get a call from the boss. Then what will happen? He has to lift the call, so he will stop eating the food and he will attend the call. So the thing is that he will be interrupted. So what are the tasks you are doing? You will stop it and you will start executing the what are the tasks you need to do it. So here the person will stop eating the food and he will attend the phone call. Once the phone call is completed, then he will come back and he will eat the food. So that is what the interrupt. Then you will think that it is similar to the subroutine, because in subroutine also when you are eating, a subroutine is calling, then you will execute those instructions. Am I right? That's what I want to discuss, the difference between interrupt and subroutine in detail. Don't worry. So I hope you have understood what is an interrupt. Now what are the types of interrupts are there? We have internal interrupt, external interrupt and software interrupt. So internal interrupt, whenever it will happen is that when you are writing a program, okay, you have divided by 0, somewhere you have divided the number by 0, then also internal interrupt will occur. Or whenever there is a register overflow is there, then also an internal interrupt will occur. Is it clear? Somewhere you have written A is equal to B by C in a program, and later you have initialized C is equal to 0. Then it is an error, because anything by 0 is infinity, so it will give an interrupt for you. Now what is an external interrupt? External interrupt will occur whenever there is a power failure or a hardware device failure. All these times the external interrupt will occur. Okay, now what is a software interrupt? Whenever you are calling a functions, if you are calling a system call, then we will call it as a software interrupt. So I hope you have understood what is the internal interrupt, what is the external interrupt, and what is the software interrupt. The software interrupt will occur whenever you are calling the system calls. Now let me discuss what is this interrupt and how it is different with the system, means the subroutine. Let's take that in the subroutine. What you will do, whenever you are executing the instruction 1, instruction 2, instruction 3, instruction 4, okay, you will, let's take that it is a instruction 1 you are doing, you may not execute the entire instruction, okay, and then you will go for the subroutine. Are you able to understand it or not? Whenever the subroutine is happening, you will not perform all the phases in the instruction like fetch, decode, execute and store. But whereas in interrupt, once you executed this instruction, then you will check an interrupt flag. There will be an interrupt flag is there. If the interrupt flag is enabled or it is set to 1, then you can understand that there is an interrupt. Then before executing the instruction 2, you will check the interrupt flag. If it is enabled, then you will start executing the interrupt. So you will complete all the phases of instruction 1 like fetch, decode, execute and store. Then only you will start checking the interrupt flag. Okay. Now one more thing I want to tell you. Whenever there is a subroutine, you have to store the return address. Then where you are storing the return address? You are storing the return address in the stack. Am I right? You are storing only the return address in the stack. Okay. But whereas in the interrupt, you need to store the what things? You need to store the return address and also the program status word. Is it clear? Are you able to understand? You need to store the program status word and also the return address. Meaning is that the information which is there in the program controller and the program status word. What is this program status word? You need to store all the information like general purpose registers, what is the information is there, and the overflow bits, what is the information is there. All this information like what is the return address, what is the content is there, everything you will store it in the stack. But whereas in the subroutine, you will store the only return address inside the stack. Okay. So that is the one more difference between a subroutine and a interrupt. So I hope you have understood what is an interrupt, okay, and what are the different types of interrupts are there, and what is the difference between a subroutine and an interrupt. If you still have any doubts, don't worry. See, I have discussed about the interrupts here little bit. When it comes to the operating system, I will discuss about the interrupts in much detail. So I hope you have understood what is an interrupt and what are the concepts I have discussed in this video. If you still have any doubts, feel free to ask me in the comment section. I will clear your doubts in less than 24 hours. Thank you for watching my video. Have a nice day.